Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Kathleen Davis. I'm the Acting Superintendent of Schools. I'd like to introduce Dr. DeBarbary here to my right, Deputy Superintendent, and Kim Vile, our Assistant Superintendent for Management Services. Tiffany Turner, who's online, our business official. So we'd like to thank her as well for being present tonight. Before I begin reviewing the budget, I would like to thank all staff, administrators, the Budget Advisory Committee members, the Board of Education for their hours of work on this budget. This is a budget and foundation aid hearing as required by law to review the three-part budget as well as the foundation aid with the public. We will be presenting the slideshow and taking questions at the end of the presentation. The budget development process began in October of this school year. Our focus has been on building a budget that speaks to the needs of our students while staying within the tax levy limit. Our goal has been to help all students achieve their full potential. As we developed the budget, we began to look at our vision statement as well as our goals. Those are the foundation for decisions as we build a budget. Through cooperative effort of the total community, we will create an environment which inspires a desire for lifelong learning, fosters mutual respect, instills a positive philosophy about the worth of participatory citizenship, and empowers all individuals to reach their full potential. Our district goals to achieve educational excellence and high levels for all, promote collaboration, innovation, and flexibility to prepare students for their future, ensure equal access, opportunity, and choice for all students. This budget and capital propositions speak to the goals set forth by the district by looking into the future and making decisions on how to best educate our students in an ever-changing world where they're going to be faced with many challenges.
As Dr. Davis mentioned, our strategic plan and our goals are really the driving factor behind the decisions that we're making in the district. We're excited about the fact that we're in the process of finalizing a new strategic plan, which you see from the graphic that's listed there. The stakeholder feedback that we received from our community perception survey that was conducted this past fall has really helped drive the creation of this plan. So we're hopeful that by the end of June, the Board of Education will adopt a new 5-year strategic plan that will focus on building, educating, and empowering our students. And again, I want to highlight the fact that this plan will not be about any single person, building. It'll be about all of us as community stakeholders working together for the best interests of our students.
The district has taken a more community-focused approach on discussing the budget this year. We've spent time in the community meeting with our PTAs, our Rotary, town and village board meetings, Chamber of Commerce, faculty meetings, and video links so everyone is better informed regarding the budget goals and spending plan and priorities. As aforementioned, we began the budget development process in the fall, and we received input from staff, administration. Stakeholder discussions have been valuable, and the Community Budget Advisory Committee provided great feedback as we carved out a spending plan. Our Board of Education reviewed the budget at their regularly scheduled meetings. The administration hosted lunch and learns, video clips, and spent time in the community. And we took calls, individual calls from our community members that called and wanted to know more information. Tonight, we are happy to present you the three-part budget and review the foundation aid. And we want to thank all the folks that came out tonight and took time out of your evenings to come and listen to us. So we do appreciate you being here.
We're going to shift into the financial impacts that have helped drive this budget. Before we do that, though, I do want to highlight 3 photographs there. As many of our candidates have mentioned this evening, this is why we do this work. This is for our students. The picture on the left portion of the screen represents the Palmer Beginning Strings program. There's some students there, one of their practices. On the right-hand side of that screen is our Eldon Elementary strings students. And then in the center, our McNamara Elementary strings students. And for that photograph, that was actually at the New York State School Boards Association annual convention this past year. was held in Syracuse. So we're very proud of the fact that our elementary students were there performing in front of the hundreds of people, thousands of people that were there. And so we can't thank our staff and our teachers enough for all of their hard work.
This next slide I'm very excited to be speaking about, and we're going to be having a thorough report on this during the board meeting. This has been a challenging year for our school community. We have worked hard to rebuild post-COVID, not only at work, but school and our personal lives. We understand the impact this pandemic has had on our student learning. I couldn't believe I myself got COVID 3 weeks ago. So it's still here, it's still with us. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our students for their efforts to excel in their studies despite all of the challenges that they have. We have just been notified by the New York State Education Department that our status as a targeted support and improvement school has been elevated to an LSI, Local Support and Improvement School, previously known as a school in good standing. So right now, today, we are district-wide a school in good standing, every building. So congratulations to not only the students, but our staff. Thank you. Most importantly, our families who supported their children night after night during COVID and being part of the teaching team. The designation places all of our schools in Baldwinsville for the 22-23 school year in good standing. And I see Danielle is here. She is going to get into the detail, which I'm going to let her do. Congratulations again. And I am extremely proud to be standing here making that announcement tonight. So thank you.
During the budget process, we're constantly looking at the, am I?
No, you're not.
No.
I don't think so.
You should be now.
No, it's gotta be red.
Kim, there's a button on the side.
Doesn't like this location. There it goes. Sorry. One of the things that we look at throughout the process is budget efficiency. So just to highlight a few, we do a lot of items through BCSD, which generates some state aid back to us the following year. We participate with BCSD for student services, technology, cooperative bidding, such as fuel, natural gas, electricity, are all things that we partner with BCSD on and other districts in our area. We're also utilizing software programs to their fullest ability, which assists us in a number of areas of being more self-sufficient. From an employee point of view, we can go in and we can look at our own information in regards to our payroll, our taxes, those types of things, and generate changes, as opposed to filling out paper and then giving that to a staff member to put back in. On the purchasing side, we've moved to ACH, we've moved to electronic communication with our vendors so that we can be more efficient. Along with that, we always look at our long-range financial plan in June with our audit committee, and then we ask the board to readopt that in July. And we call that our fund balance management plan. And what is included in that is a long-range financial plan to make sure that we'll be stable over the long haul. In addition to looking into our specific reserves and the items that we can use those reserves for, and what the board and the audit committee feels comfortable as a desired funding level, and we include in that what they can be used for, which is dictated to us from government.
So as Dr. Davis mentioned at the beginning, we are required to communicate through this public hearing our foundation aid increase spending plan, and you're going to see in a few slides here how we plan to utilize the increase in foundation aid. We're very fortunate as a district this year that we have received $8 million increase in foundation aid, which represents 10% over a 10% increase for us. And because of that, we are required to do this spending plan. If you take a look at this slide here, how we're utilizing the foundation aid increase, any item that is highlighted in gray on this screen, our 4 school counselors at the elementary level, our response to intervention personnel, our 5 school resource special school resource patrol officers, our 3 learning coaches. Those are all positions that are not new to the budget. They're new to the general fund. They were positions that were added over the course of the last 2 years through the American Rescue Fund Plan Act that we received from the federal government. And so we're using the foundation aid increase to sustain and support these positions permanently in our general fund budget. Also, in this budget, we are looking to add additional staff, a special education teacher at Derby Junior High School, a special education itinerant services teacher at the preschool level, since we've added quite a few preschool sections across our district. I know many of our families are excited about that, and we are excited to continue that offering due to additional funding from the state. We're looking to add 1 assistive technology learning coach, an English as a new language teacher to support our students that English is not their first language, a custodial supervisor, an adaptive physical education, health, and PE teacher, and then some additional clerical support in a few of our buildings. The highlight, though, not personnel related, is the purchase of musical instruments for our beginning strings and our beginning instrument program. So one of the things that we thought would be helpful as a district, we were trying to look for one-time expenses that would help us so that we could use the foundation aid increase in future budgets to offset contractual obligations. So we're excited that we're going to be purchasing instruments for any student in the grades 3, 4, and 5 level to participate in our strings program and our instrumental music program. And the reason we think this is important is because we provide Chromebooks, we provide textbooks, we provide uniforms, balls, you name it, for athletics, textbooks, and why do we not provide instruments? And so we're excited about the fact that we are building that into this budget, and as students transition through the middle school, the junior high school, and high school, we'll also have instruments available for those that need it financially. So these highlight many of the increases that we've placed in this budget that are student-driven and student-focused. This screen, this slide actually represents why it's important, why we think it's important for students to be connected into our fine and performing arts. This is data from our students this current school year. We know, as some board members or candidates mentioned, when students are connected, whether it be athletics or the fine and performing arts, they perform better in school. And so this is data from our students. You can see that those students that are enrolled in band and orchestra at the high school level, 85% are achieving the mastery level. 98% are achieving the passing level, and they have an average grade point average of a 93%. And this data mirrors what we know nationally in education research, again tying back into the fact that when students are connected, they are engaged, they perform better, and they're here every day. So we think this is important, and we hope the community will continue to support these efforts. So we were required to present the budget in 3 components: the capital, the administrative, and the program component. Dr. Davis is going to take us through the administrative component.
The administrative component of the 3-part budget is inclusive of the following: central administrative services, which includes the superintendent, legal, human resources, public information, records management, Office of Curriculum and Instruction, and staff development. Office of Curriculum and Instruction and Staff Development has been recoded to the administrative component of the budget in accordance with state regulations. You will see it no longer is included in the program component of the 3-part budget, so the learning coaches have been moved to this category, so you'll see the $289,390 in this component. Central admin services include staff development, which was previously reported in the program component. Office of Curriculum, HR transition with another employee, BOCES, and a dietitian. All have been moved. Supervision increased from 10 months to 12 months, our APs. We have programming all throughout the summer that requires supervision of students and their safety, so we will have our assistant principals for our summer school program supporting those teachers and our TAs as they work through the summer and very challenging weather, and knowing that support's going to be there for them right in the building. We also have contractual obligations. You will see a shift in benefit redistribution. of the employee benefits based off of health insurance percentages versus previously off of salary percentages. The health insurance is 67% of the overall benefit cost to our budget. Property, liability, and student accident is 4% increase of insurance and moved student accident into the admin budget as well, which was previously reported again in the program. So you're seeing a lot of shifts in accordance with the state. We had to recode things to this component. We were required to, so it's shifting from one section of the budget to another.
As we shift to the program component, what I like about the program component, it represents the majority, 78% of our overall budget, and it is truly about our students. So when you think about any connection to a student, whether it's staffing, materials and supplies, equipment, contractual obligations, if it's tied to students, it's within this program component of our budget. Dr. Davis mentioned the shift of the staff development to the administrative component at $671,000 out of this component of our budget. You'll also notice a little asterisk there by technology, AV, and library. That doesn't mean that we're reducing a little over $1 million, $1.1 million for not purchasing technology equipment. We are recoding those to the capital component. We lease many of our equipment software, and because we lease it, it actually is a liability, and so it's shifting to the capital component, and you'll see that highlighted when Kim presents that capital portion of our budget. You'll see students with disabilities. We're very proud of the programming that we have for students with disabilities across our district. Our athletics, our pupil transportation, our students with disabilities summer school program, and obviously the regular school is any instructional, non-instructional staff tied to the instruction of students.
In regards to the capital project, as Dr. Dorabry pointed out, the debt service didn't actually go up because we have more debt. It just went up because of that shift of those leases coming over into this section of the budget. Facilities expenses did go up slightly. We all know that the things that we're purchasing are getting more and more expensive, so we did need to increase that line slightly. Employee benefits we've already talked about. So in regards to this portion of the budget, the main increase that you see here is that shift again from the leases moving over to this area. Also in this part of the budget, we're allowed to do what we call a capital outlay project, which is $100,000 that we can work in one of our buildings per year. The nice thing about this is we generate building aid back on that. So with our building aid ratio at approximately 88%, as that shifts slightly from year to year, not a large shift, but slightly, we can do $100,000 of work and get $88,000 of that back the following year. So it costs the local taxpayer about $12,000 to do $100,000 of work in those buildings. So we've been building these in for a number of years and we'll continue to do that.
So on the expense side, there's another view of our budget broken down. You'll see the percent change. This is not normal. We typically do not see budget to budget increases of 8.59%, but due to the increase in the foundation aid, and again, adding all of those positions that we've had supported through other funding sources into this budget, that's why you see the larger increase this year. Again, going back to look at that total number under program, it's why we're here, it's our students, it is the largest component of our budget.
Our estimated revenues, so we get revenue from payment in lieu of tax pilots. We get all other revenues. That could be items such as gate fees, it could be reimbursement from the state, it could be interest earnings on accounts. Estimated state aid inclusive of BOCES. So there is an increase there. You can see the foundation aid increase. Then we use the appropriated fund balance. So any funds that are left over from this year, we apply to next year's budget to offset the increases to our taxpayer. And then non-tax revenue as well as our tax levy. So your total revenue is 129, 154, 122, which balances the expenditure side of the budget.
We are staying within our tax cap this year. We are staying within our tax cap this year, which is 2.85. When we think about the consumer price index, that's been fluctuating between 6 and 8% the last couple of years, so we are well below that. And we did do the calculation, and we provided that detail to the Board of Education prior to adopting our budget. There's a few things that impact that calculation. So there's only one piece of that formula that's actually capped at 2%. The rest of it flows based on other information from the district.
So what happens if voters do not approve the proposed budget? We reduce the budget and ask the voters to approve a reduced budget, or we go directly to a contingent budget with no vote. On the next slide, what does a contingent budget mean for a district? A district that adopts a contingency budget may not increase its current tax levy by any amount, which would be a reduction in $1.4 million in spending. The district may not purchase equipment, and there's no community use of facilities unless groups or organizations pay all associated costs. That is a state rule, not a district rule. So I just want to clarify that. Reductions from program and administration would need to be made to be in compliance with the spending cap, and the Board of Education determines which appropriations constitute ordinary contingent expenses. Proposition 2, which you're going to see when you go into the on vote date, is to support the purchase of school buses. We transport 5,100 students who are eligible for transportation twice a day. We have 125 school buses and approximately 100 drivers, 25 school bus attendants, 6 office staff, and 6 mechanics. We travel 1.5 million miles a year. That is impressive. Our DOT inspection rates, last year we had 285 inspections, and our pass rate was 99.65%. We're hoping for 100. But congratulations to our mechanics, they're phenomenal here. Yes. Amazing. You don't see that score often, so I'm really impressed. Onondaga County school districts on an average have 125 inspections. We have 285 because of the size of our fleet. We have we have double the inspections. We equipped our buses with real-time GPS tracking, driver notification for speeding and hard braking. Buses we are ordering going forward will have collision mitigation with lane departure warning, and speed warning systems. We also have the internal cameras, but the external cameras on the front and rear passenger side of the bus will be on the new buses. We are purchasing additional student trans vehicles than in previous years to get our vehicles on a 10-year rotation. And you heard from Kim earlier that we do get state aid on our buses, and we do rotate those. Buses are paid for over 5 years, and the anticipated aid is also paid over 5 years, keeping the local share at a 0.14% increase on the tax levy.
Our third proposition is a $63.9 million capital project, which focuses the majority of our work main campus fields for athletics and our marching band, as well as Baker High School, science, pool, and gymnasium renovations, and then Ray Middle School will focus on some work to our, what I would consider to be our encore classes, our CTE, our STEAM, art, music classrooms, and we'll get into more detail in a few slides with what this project entails.
As I mentioned earlier, our building aid ratio is approximately 88% for 22-23. So what this project means to the local taxpayer is approximately a $16.61 increase for a $100,000 value home, and that is 1661. I said that once before and someone thought I said 60, so it's 16. And the thing to point out here is that impact will not even see the taxpayers until the 26-27 school year at least, because these projects take a very long time between the design phase and then when we're actually going out to do the long-term debt service. So we'll get into what this project entails.
So looking at the site work that will be done on our main campus, A represents a new parent-student drop-off and parking. We'll put right out there, I know there's been some questions from the community regarding this conceptual design or proposal. Nothing is finalized, and we continue to work with our landscape architects, the Village of Baldwinsville, the law enforcement, and the Department of Transportation. If and when the project is approved by the voters, at that point we will begin the real work in getting architects and everyone working together to finalize plans. So there'll be more community dialogue as we hopefully move forward with a successful vote. B represents the multi-purpose turf field. In that diagram, you'll see a place for varsity girls softball and varsity and JV boys baseball on the main campus, with that multi-purpose field that can be used for fall athletics as well as our marching band program. And C represents some site work over at Durgee Junior High School. If you visit Durgee in the morning or any time during events, there's not a lot of parking space, and so we're looking to add some space there, which is represented by C on that map. This is a representation of what our existing pool is on the left, and on the right is the conceptual rendering of a new pool, which will actually be considered a renovation that will be placed in the current small gymnasium at the high school, where we're going to be repurposing with successful vote that space into a state-of-the-art pool facility. That pool is original to the building, and as many of you may have seen through our video that we put together for this project, we're just waiting and hoping that the main line and that pool drain doesn't go, because then we're in trouble if that's the case. So it certainly, we could benefit from a new state-of-the-art competitive pool. This slide represents the science classroom renovations. On the left are existing. On the right, you'll notice a conceptual view of what the flexible space will look like for our science classrooms. The next slide represents an improvement to the current Baker High School gymnasium. You'll notice an indoor multi-purpose running and walking track that we are considering making available for public use if this project is approved. This graphic represents the building floor plan with where major construction is occurring. The gray on the slide is the science renovations, and then the red represents the gymnasium and the pool relocation. This slide represents work at Ray Middle School. You'll notice the majority of the building on the left-hand side is going to see some infrastructure improvements. What we're excited about at Ray Middle School is that we're going to be shifting our fine and performing arts classrooms to a different portion of the building where it's more conducive to student ensembles. This is a representation of what that ensemble space will look like. Currently they share space. There'll be a separate ensemble room for strings, orchestra, and the choral program. And on the right graphic represents some upgrades to the technology classrooms within Ray Middle School. All of the work being done at Ray will be conducive no matter what our final grade configuration looks like in future years. Overall, this project, $63.9 million. You can see that 76% is represented by state aid. We're actually utilizing $7.5 million from one of our current capital reserves. We're fortunate that our voters have supported capital reserves in prior years so that we can offset the local share.
Our next proposition is in regards to a capital reserve that we're proposing. This is a capital reserve that we can fund up to $10 million. This is over a number of 10 years. We do not have $10 million ready to fund this reserve at the time it would be approved by the voters. However, I do want to point out that with the capital project that we're going out with, we are spending $7.5 million out of our reserve with an approved project. This basically assists with that non-aidable portion, or what we refer to as the local share. And we really have two options where we can fund that portion of these projects from, and that's either the tax reserve or the capital reserve, which is really our savings that's specified for a capital project, or the tax levy. So it really offsets what we have to push out to the taxpayers when we go out with future capital projects. And we all know that almost all schools in New York State are at the point where we need to be taking care of our infrastructure. And one thing I will point out is when we're doing a capital project, those items are aidable. However, if we're fixing something because it fails us, we have to pay dollar for that, and that is not aidable. In addition to that, we have Proposition 5, which is a land acquisition, which is part of the Ray capital improvement projects that we're looking at. This would give us the opportunity to have an access road off the back of Ray, where a lot of our deliveries are in our delivery trucks right now on Van Buren Road. If people are traveling through there at the time of pickup or drop off, you've experienced a heavy amount of traffic. This would give us another access point to exit over on Maple. With this, there's been some questions in regards to the pricing. This was agreed upon by the homeowner. The board has put in a purchase offer contingent upon voter approval, which is what we have to do for that $44,000. If people are looking at the actual fair market value, it is much higher than that. However, the home is in very poor repair, and this is what the homeowner has agreed to if we have a positive vote. In addition to that, because it's tied to a capital project, this also would be subject to the 88% aid back on our capital project with a positive vote.
So on the vote date, you have 5 propositions. The first is our budget. The second is for student transport vehicles, 2.2 million, 14 vehicles. Those are state aided. Proposition 3 is the capital project, which again is state aided. Proposition 4 is the capital reserve, and Proposition 5 is the land acquisition over at Ray Middle School. So those would be your five propositions that you'll be voting on.
This slide really sums everything up. As we stated earlier, this budget is about our students, and this is what success and opportunity looks like for our students, and we are hopeful that our community will be supportive of this budget as we move forward.
So on Tuesday, May 16th, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the District Operations Building, there will be the vote, and that's where the vote will take place. And I do want to thank everyone for your support of students and being here tonight to ask questions. We have many students coming in right now that we'll be honoring a little later in our meeting. So at this point, that concludes our presentation part of the hearing, and we'll open up if anyone has any questions.
I thought the New York State tax cap for the school budget was 2%, but you said, I think it was 2.85% is what our budget is, and then is each one of those proposals in addition to that 2.85%?
So Kim, I'm going to let you talk about the tax levy limit, which is based on a formula, and Kim will go over the actual formula with you, because it doesn't actually mean that you're going to be at 2. It's based on what your formula is for your district. So.
Right, there's one specific part of the formula. There's probably 5 components to the formula for last year and for this year. There's one of those components that has to do with a 2% cap. If that 2% cap wasn't there, our tax cap levy overall would be much higher, based on the fact that it would be that 6 or 8% for the growth factor versus the 2%. So, and I'm more than willing to meet with you and go over it more specifically. But it is a very difficult concept, and I think when it was rolled out, there was a lot of confusion around it. But if you look at districts all around us, very seldom is the tax cap actually 2% with what it is. Sometimes it can be 0. Sometimes it can be 1, sometimes it can be in the teens. So there's a lot of fluidity depending on each district's specific components to it.
It's a lie. So my second part of that was, that's the budget is at 2.85% for a tax levy. Are each of those proposals on top of that you just went through? So you went through the budget and then propositions, I guess is the right word.
Do you want me to do that part too?
So in regards to the capital project, that's the additional 16 60 that I was talking about for future. So that would be in addition to down the road when we get there. Our buses are on a 5-year replacement plan. So what happens is the debt falls off, we try to replace that debt, which is what we do with our capital projects as well, so the local impact is much smaller. It may increase a tiny bit, but that's already built, that will be built into our future budgets based on how we purchase them and how our debt is set up with those. We work with a fiscal advisor to make sure that our state aid aligns with our debt payments so that we have the least amount of impact on our taxpayers for capital projects and for buses, anything that's covered over multiple years.
Yes, in the back.
Probably gonna get that back here in network.
Yep, absolutely. So, I have a question with the land that you're buying for the access road at $44,000. So, are you buying the land or actually like a way through, and will that ever actually get landlocked upon you? So
we're actually purchasing the property. And that property.
you're purchasing a way through that will never actually get landlocked on you
Correct.
or anything of that nature.
Correct.
And what's the actual acreage on that?
I believe it's certainly less than an acre. We've been in contact with the homeowners on either side of that property, just to make sure that they're on the same page as we are with the purchase, if the voters approve that. I believe it's around just under an acre. But basically what you see in the communications that we've sent out, so that property, there's a home on it that will be demolished, and then there'll be a service entry access road from 48 Maple Road into the back portion of Ray Middle School on that campus. So we're creating another entry
There's
exit.
no liens or anybody else that has interest in that?
No.
No.
On the way through, okay.
Thank
Which
you.
I think it's actually purchasing a right of way at $44,000. I think that's pretty expensive.
Well, it's not just a right-of-way, we're actually going to be using it as an entrance so we can have delivery trucks.
I understand that.
Yes.
So where your congestion that you're actually trying to alleviate, actually at $44,000, I think that's pretty steep to actually, for less than an acre of land.
I can tell you lots right now are, I don't want to speak to that lot, but I can tell you lots that are going for a lot more than that at less than an acre. I know
Which who wants to live behind the school? Nobody does.
right.
But still, at $44,000, that's a pretty steep price.
Any other questions? I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and listening to our presentation. The presentation will be on the website. Oh, I'm sorry, is there another question? I'm sorry, yes.
Can you come up to just say hi? Can you just come up?
Can I just say hello, just very much introduce and just say hi? We're gonna say that first. That works? Okay.
You're welcome.
I want to thank everyone for being here tonight for the budget hearing and foundation aid hearing. Though the PowerPoint will be on the website. If you want to meet with us individually, please call my office or call Dr. Joe's office or Kim's office, and we're happy to sit down and go through anything with you. I want to wish you a safe trip tonight and thank you for coming out. Thank you.